Had me in the first half. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So there's this Twitter review, right? So Snell Rider, which is like he's becoming very popular as far as like the Zenless space on Twitter. You know, a lot of memes, real cool stuff, and Snell has a lot of great takes. You know, some I don't agree with, but you don't agree with everything, right? But a lot of them I do agree with, especially as of late. As of late, Snell's been on fucking point. So this is perhaps the worst review on Zenless that he's ever seen in his life, or that they've ever seen in their life. Now let's just kind of go through it, right? I read this, and again, you can see my comment right here. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie. I'm gonna read the very first part of this review, and I'm gonna tell you where I agree with it, because I legit thought, okay, you know what? He kind of on point with that one. He's kind of on point. Let's go all the way back. What turns me off from Zenless as a new player? I actually don't know where to start, but I'll showcase my roster first and explain my logic of everything else. You see that he has Billy, level 50. Cool, he might be a Billy main. Coleta, level 40. Nicole, level 40. Very good so far. But then we get down to the more critical characters. Anby, level 20, which I guess, to be fair, he's using Coleta, so he doesn't really need Anby right now. Yuzuha, level 1. So Kaku, level 1. My boy Seth is level 1. Soldier 11. Level 1, Grace level 1, Lucy level 1, Piper level 1, Pokra level 1, Anton level 1, Ben and Corin level 1. Okay, so right off the bat, if we're looking at this from a brand new player, and you know, you would assume, and again, he had me in the first half of this, right guys? If I'm just looking at this and I'm like, yo, this guy's saying he had a horrible time with Zenless, my immediate response would be, bro, you didn't build your best units, right? You didn't build up Yuzu. You didn't build Lucy, you didn't build Piper, you didn't build Pokra. Like, you're not really playing the game. And so in his case, he's going to be playing Billy, Coleta, and Nicole. They work together, you know, a little bit, but then it's like, where's your team building behind that? You can't just be rocking out with Billy nonstop and nothing else. So eventually you're going to want to probably use Piper because you have Yuzu, and then you can round that off with Lucy, right? I showed that off in my video with the free-to-play team. That team is amazing. It's a great free-to-play team. In fact, it'd be significantly better than the person playing Billy, Coleta, and Nicole. But let's move over to the very next thing, which is the very next paragraph. He reads, firstly, I know looking at my roster, I don't have characters leveled, but I will do my best to explain the reasoning for treating my roster the way that I do. Let's point out the obvious. Why don't I have Yuzuha leveled? And I feel like this is a fair question. Everyone is asking, why didn't you level up Yuzuha? Why'd you pull this limited S rank character and you had no intentions of using her at all? It's mainly because I have no one to use her with, and I also have her signature, which really sucks because I really want to use her. So I'm like, okay. Let's go back. All right, let's just go back to, I have no one to use Yuzuha with. My boy has Billy, already leveled up, which yes, you can use Billy and Yuzuha, right? It ain't ideal, but you can do it. My boy has Seth, he's got Sogaku, he's got Lucy, he's got Piper, he's got Grace. And the Grace part is important because he has Anton. And Anton likes to take advantage of shocks. And Grace is really good at, you know, building up shock pretty quickly. And you can just have Yuzuha to like round it out, right? Fake mono electric if you want to do that. My guy says he has no one to use her with. Yuzu, Piper, and Lucy is the literal demo team. The team they show you how to play this character with, he has on his account. Now let's read this one more time. It's mainly because I have no one to use her with. And I also have her signature, which really sucks. It gets better. Then he goes on to say, no, you could make the argument I have Piper and Grace, but considering how the community ranks those characters, what would be the point? Now this, listen. This is a double-edged sword for me, okay? I want you guys to understand something. Right now, I'm living in the moment. Let's talk about why I'm living in the moment. Based off how the community categorizes or ranks these characters. That's what he says, yeah? So then we go over, I said this in my Pride video, and there are so many comments on Reddit, in my own YouTube video, and other people's YouTube video. Kettei literally called me last night, and we talked about it. Because apparently, I'm gonna just say it real quick, some of y'all being big baby boy bitch juniors, okay? You need to be over there in Weenie Hut Jr., Super Weenie Hut Jr., actually. Why are y'all calling Kettei to tell him to come tell me that I'm wrong, and that he should convince me why I'm... No! Kettei and I both agree, we just agree for different reasons. Anyhow, continuing on, little side tangent there. In the previous video, I mentioned that a large majority of new players or casual players use Pridewin, especially if they're global, as their #1 source or website for information. Why? Because Pridewin has built up that reputation of being the #1 source for information on gacha games within the global space. So it's natural that a new player or casual player is going to come to the website. That could be through recommendation, that can be through Google, doesn't really matter. My guy over here says, why would I do that? Considering how the community ranks those characters, what would be the point? Let's go look at both Piper and Grace. Now, Piper is at tier 1. Prior to this, because I'm assuming he got Yuzuha, Alice is not on this account. I don't know when this review was posted, but they probably quit before or when Alice got here. So this is before Piper and Jane jumped up a tier or 2. Before, Piper and Jane were either in tier 2 or tier 1.5. I don't specifically remember which one it was, but they were down here. Meaning they're not in tier 1, they're not in tier 0.5, and they're not at tier 0. The community is not talking about Piper and Jane. The community is talking about Evelyn, Hugo, Yanagi, Ishwin, Miyabi, Vivian, Bernice, another Yanagi on your team because you need 2 Yanagis. Lycan being the same as Nicole. You guys get what I'm saying, right? 1.5, okay, 1.5, thank you. So they're looking at this the way that other casual players, or rather most casual players, look at tier lists. Whatever the is in the red, tier 0.5 and above, is the only thing you care about. That's the only thing you want to pull. That's priority pulls. You want to get as many of these as possible, and then you'll just pick and choose whatever you want. So as I'm saying, double-edged sword. We come all the way down to the bottom here, and we see Grace is in tier 3, right? She just niche. So of course this person's like, I'm just not gonna, anything down here, I'm not gonna build. The only thing they built was Coleta and Billy, probably because that was their first characters. Billy you get for free. Coleta was probably their first 5-star. They probably picked or, you know, got from the selector, whatever. So we see that. And what was one of the one things that I talked about in the Pridewin review video? I said, adding up the categories further diminishes a player's incentive to learn the game or the ability to learn the game. One of the comments that stood out to me in that video was bad example. Okay, this was in reference to what I was talking about regarding Mono Ice and why Mono Ice was so strong and blah 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 blah. My guy here says you do not use Lycan in any of his teams for his stun, just for his buff. And at this point I clocked out. I'm not gonna hold you guys. I clocked the fuck out. I on the floor, me and my dog rolling around laughing because there's no way this guy just said you use. So anyway, that's why he was kicked out from Mono Ice, which this is incorrect, by the way. Lycan was not kicked from Mono Ice. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. And now Miyabi plays double support teams that focus on freezing during stun, not using any stun characters. Supports have way too much days. This entire message, I'm not even going to call it misinformation. I mean, it is, but that's not really the word I want to use. This entire message is someone who's been misinformed for years. For as long as they've breathed the Zenless Zone Zero, they've been misinformed. This is misleading. This is what happens when you have so much misinformation or the lack of information being pumped into a large audience, and then they start misleading others. So we're going to break this down real quick when we get back to the review. All of this ties into the review, right? Like I'm telling y'all, this is why I said they had me in the first half of that review. I'm not going to lie. I was agreeing with that review. I'm like, oh, you know what? Makes sense. You don't use Lycan for stuns on any team. You use them for his buffs. This is just straight up bullshit. This is ignorant. Lycan has the buffs, or rather the debuffs that he provides against the enemy. You absolutely use him for that, but you have to use Lycan for the fucking, he's a stunner. You should be stunning with Lycan. Imagine playing a team with Lycan on it, and the only time you bring Lycan out on the field is whenever the enemy is stunned and you come out and do slide kick. That's the only time you use Lycan. This is what this sentence represents. The only reason you use him is for his buff, which his buff is adding the ice damage shred. So you probably would have done an EX skill, right? And then you would have done hitting them while they're stunned. So if anything, you bring him out, you do EX skill or EX kick, they get stunned, you get the damage multiplier and the ice shred debuff, and then you go to do whatever you want. But you only bring him out for that one move, nothing else. That's stupid. The second thing, that's why he got kicked out from Mono Ice. This is not the case at all. So Mono Ice and multiple people, even the person that did the Mono Ice, if I'm not mistaken, they came out and spoke about it as well, but I could be wrong on that. Double check that for me. But the main point being is that with Mono Ice, Lycan, the version of Mono Ice with Lycan, so the standard Mono Ice, the OG Mono Ice, this team is harder. It's the hardest team in the game to play to this day still. The reward, there's a multiple amount of rewards, by the way, but the main reward that you're looking at is that you get stunned, so you get to the stun faster, you get the stun damage multiplier, and you also free up using Yuzuha or Astra or whoever else on your team. Miyabi being a Mono Ice is a one-cost team and still the strongest team in the game. Even if you added her engine, now making it a 2-cost team, it's still the strongest team in the game for basically free. You get Sokaku for free. You could have picked Lycan for free whenever Miyabi was here. So anyone that wanted to play Mono Ice or does play Mono Ice absolutely has the best free-to-play team in the game, period. Now you have double support with Yuzu and Sokaku. Cool. Adding Yuzu to your Mono Ice team means that you can now use Lycan for a Hugo team if you decide to do so. Still giving you the strongest element in the game right now as far as damage goes, Ice. The second strongest, well, not anymore. It was Fire, now it's Physical. Your reward or your freedom, right? The freedom of choice, team building. This all falls into team building. And so then this person goes on to say that the team no longer focuses on stunning the enemy, but instead focuses on freezing. I feel like they had a misrepresentation of what Mono Ice was in the first place. Mono Ice was never about focusing on stunning the enemy. Mono Ice was abusing stun, getting to the stun as fast as possible, and then abusing freeze inside of the stun. So you maximize your damage, you maximize your EBAs, your ultimates, so on and so forth. You can still do that with Yuzuha on the team. It's just a little slower, but it doesn't really change what you're doing during stun. It also doesn't change the whole game plan, which is abusing freeze. Freeze the enemy, abuse the damage you get from the freezer, abuse the stationary period you get from the damage that comes with freeze. That doesn't change. So when I read this comment, I couldn't even bother to respond to it because it was like, I knew if I responded, it was just gonna be LMAO. Like, you got it, bro, because there's no way. Then he goes on to say supports have way too much days. Again, the lack of information hurts the player base. Supports have way too much days. Let's look at the actual support characters in the game real quick. Rena, Alexandrina, how do you pronounce her name? Whatever, Rena, Astra, Lucy, Nicole, Sokaku, and Yuzuha. Supports have too much days. The only character in this list that has any appropriate amount of days is Yuzuha. The only other character that you can build to have decent days is Sokaku, because she has the heavy assist option with her big ass fucking thing. So you get more parry opportunities than you would without it. But supports have too much days. Let's refer back to the comment just real quick. This is what I'm talking about. You have people out here. Yes, this is spreading misinformation, but this isn't, it's just misleading. It's wrong. He's wrong. And then you have him, whoever Rob is, telling his friends or his associates this information. Then they tell their friends. And now you've consistently built this bubble of people spreading stupid shit. This is why it's a problem. We got to get back to the review though. I just really needed to hone in on that. I know I rambled for a little bit, guys, my bad, but we really need to hone in on that. I don't have Grace level despite me having her M1 because according to the community, she's only good as a sub DPS, and it really sucks because I need an electric character. But if you read my last big post on understanding how shock works, you'll understand why I think electric characters are literally useless in this game. We don't have the last big post that this person would have put up to understand why he believes that shock is useless in this game or electric characters are useless in this game. But I don't think this accounts for the Grace and Anton on the account. Mind you, yeah, Grace is pretty tedious to pilot. I'm not even gonna say hard, just tedious to pilot for the average player. That probably means she sucks. Okay, this is a pass. Currently, I'm sitting on guarantee and I could get Nagi, but what's the point? You have to learn. You have to learn. Oh my gosh, bro. You have to learn her stance switch cancels and stance switch parries, which isn't practical for me. And I sit here and I tell myself, why would I get her when she has to do way too much? That's the wrong two, by the way, for damage when Hugo exists. He's literally so simple to play with no bullshit requirements other than having other agents next to him that can stun quickly so he can pop off. Unlike Nagi that has to do way too much and you have to worry about timing the shock anomaly being procced on the enemy, and you have to quickly switch to your other anomaly agent to disorder and blah, 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 constantly attacking for 10 seconds. The point is, anomaly characters are inconvenient to me, but it seems that is the direction they want players to go. Guys, I'm telling you, people think I be saying bullshit. They think you're an elitist. You want this to be this way. When I tell you, and I have proof, oh, you're getting one guy. This is how a lot of players think. Just because you don't think that way, just because I don't think that way, doesn't mean more players don't think this way. If you hang out on Twitter in the Zenless space for a day, I guarantee you'll see multiple comments like this, or multiple threads, multiple questions that are like, yo, should I do this? Should I do that? And it's like, this is a very basic ass question. This is a basic understanding of the game. And you're asking this question, we can answer it. But like, you learned this in chapter 1, prologue, whatever of the game. What happened? And I'm not even dogging on people who don't know something, right? Because not knowing and then asking questions is absolutely the way to go. If you don't know something, ask the question. If you have a hard time understanding something, ask the question. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The teacher always says there's no such thing as a stupid question. That's not true, but I'm not telling you don't ask the question anyway. You get what I'm saying? So we get into this. This person, you have to learn her stance switch cancels and stance switch parries. No, the you don't. We all know that you don't have to do this at all. You press triangle, your E on the keyboard, right? The skill button, and you proceed to zip, zap, zoom, and you switch out. You do whatever you want at that point, right? But if you want to optimize it, sure, you could use her switch cancels and use her switching for the parry move, but you don't just press the button and get the parry. So it's a lot. And then he says, why would I do all that? Why would I learn how to do all that when Hugo exists? That's what really got me. So like I said, he had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie. And then I got to this paragraph and I, again, on the floor laughing because this don't make no fucking sense. My guy really wants Nagi. He could, or not really wants, could get Nagi, could get Yanagi. Why would I do that when I would have to learn the character? Now let's refer back to this, right? What does he have on his account? Sokaku, you gotta learn how to play Sokaku. Piper, you really gotta learn how to play her at all. Lucy, you don't gotta learn how to play her at all. Soldier Leffen, oh no, input timing, I'm scared. Okra, you gotta learn how to work an off-field unit. Grace, you actually have to learn how to play this character. Seth, of course you have to learn how to play this character. Poleta, you 50-50. You can get away with mashing if you want to, but learning how to play the character is better. Anby, literally the Ryu of the game, the basics, you're gonna get that. Billy, same thing. Nicole, pretty easy to do. Anton, learn how to play the character. Ben, learn how to play the character. And Corin, kind of learn how to play the character. You gotta learn how to play the game at some point. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We have players consistently talking about wanting changes, wanting things to be done to the game, thinking that certain changes are perfect and this is how the game is supposed to be played. If you understand anything about Zenless Zone Zero, you would absolutely be in agreement with the new Pride materialist change. If you don't, you just don't know the game at all. The game has gotten, and it's been this way for a bit, so nuanced that now both sides are arguing with each other about who knows the game better. What are we doing? And we still have examples like this. And this is, in my opinion, right? Because y'all were saying this is bait. This is too specific to be bait. Because hear me out, right? Visual 06, he would have had to plan this. This is like calculated murder, right? Like you premeditated murder. You would have had to plan this. This is premeditated bait. My guy started the game, got Yuzuha, pulled as much as he could, got an M1 Grace. He has Coleta. He went through the game to potentially get Piper for free, or he just happened to pull her. He leveled up Billy, which means to level 50, which means he put in hours of time into the game. You're telling me he did all of that just to drop this bait ass post? Nah, like this is some Lex Luthor type shit. He's not dedicated enough. Nobody in the entire gacha community is dedicated enough to be on some Lex Luthor shit. I can't believe it. This isn't bait. This is real. This guy legit feels this way. So we go to the next couple of paragraphs. We're not done. Y'all thought this was the end of it, right? When we talked about Grace, we talked about Anomaly, we talked about fucking Yanagi, and how Hugo was just better because it's like press one button. The rest of the teammates do the work for you. We're not done. Keep in mind, this is what the guy says, right? Visual says, keep in mind you need Vivian for the shock trait, the element, the attribute counter itself of shock to be viable. You need Vivian, at least in their eyes. Otherwise, you're literally losing a ton of damage for not constantly attacking for 10 seconds before disordering the enemy. And the only reason I'm being ignorant thinking this way is because the game does a poor job of explaining how shock actually works, and it doesn't help. There's so much misinformation on it that it literally drives me away from the game. Had me in the first half, not gonna lie to you. But then if you go into the game and you read what shock does, you go into the game and you play through chapter 2, which this person would have had to done. They teach you in chapter 2 They teach you how to play Coleta. They teach you how to play Anton, and they teach you how to play Ben and Grace. If you pulled them, which he did, you have the character demo available to you at all times. You have the character kit information available to you at all times. They explain what Shock does. Now, to his credit, the one thing that I will say that isn't fully explained, like it's not appropriately explained, and I don't think it's appropriately explained because the mechanic itself is just kind of piss poor. The aftermath effects of anomalies. Whenever you shock an enemy and then there's shock, tick, 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 right? You have that electric DOT, but then they talk about the disorder. So what happens if you burn on top of the shock, right? The burn takes over. All of the shock ticks that you would have done, so if you have like 7 shock ticks left over, that rolls over into the disorder damage. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then burn takes over, tick, 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 right? That's the only thing that I could give him credit for, but he's not talking about that. He's talking about shock. He's talking about shock, period. And even if he was doing that, Grace, Anton, Yuzuha, possibly could pull Yanagi because it's guaranteed. And then he would have just not, he just played mono electric. Like, you don't have to worry about disorder stuff at all. Like, the shock is always going to do tick damage. So this has nothing to do with misinformation. This has nothing to do with the game doing a poor job of explaining shock to them. This is quite literally, as a gacha game player, I'm allergic to reading. This is what this is. Then if we relay back to the previous paragraph, you have to learn, quote unquote, her stance. Stop. You have to learn. This person is allergic to learning things. They don't want to learn. This is exactly why the entire thing exists with the Hugo stuff, right? Why would I do that when Hugo is so much simpler to play? No bullshit requirements. There's not a bullshit requirement to any of these characters. It's just their kit. My guy quite literally just wants to come on the field, press a button, do damage, get off the field. Play Hugo. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's the type of playstyle you want, you should have pulled Hugo when he was here. You should have gotten to the game when Hugo was here, right? I don't want to tell you. But then you continue. Let's talk about why I don't see the value in Jane or Alice. Guys, I told y'all it gets better. Let's start with Jane. First, keeping her passion state up as a new player isn't practical, and her spin to win literally does no damage. I'm a nice dude. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna give some credit. I'm gonna give some credit to a new player. Keeping Jane's passion state up as a new player it's not that it's not practical, it is a little more difficult, right? Keeping that passion state up, you have to, what did he say he didn't want to do? Learn. You have to learn. that you know, HSR player label isn't enough. This guy's a Karen. It might be. I don't know. It might be, right? I'm not trying to harp on the guy too much, but it's just too funny, dog. And like, the more I read it, the more I agreed with Snail. I'm like, this got to be the worst Zenless review that I've ever read, bro. Like, IGN makes better reviews than this shit, man. Guys, we gotta keep going. Also, keep in mind, Jane has to time her basic attacks. Wait, what the f? Yo, Jane has to time her basic attacks, just like Soldier 11 for efficient anomaly build up. When did Jane get input mechanics, dog? I can't. When did, yo, chat, I'm missing something. I'm in a new timeline, bro. I have to be in a new timeline. When did Jane get input mechanics, bro? You're telling me that if I manually press Jane's basic attacks at specific moments of her combo string, I get new moves with new properties? Y'all gotta be telling me something right now, because I'm not aware. Visuals gotta be the top. He gotta be top 1% Zenless Zone 0 player. Because he got the knowledge, man. He got the Jane rework before anybody else. He playing on the private server. Yo, y'all ever laugh so hard your head hurts? Y'all ever, the back of your head, bro. The back of my head is ringing right now, dog. This review should not be this funny, bro. These mechanics, these new mechanics that he has, crazy, man. Otherwise, mashing on her literally builds the anomaly bubble slow. Why would I ever touch that character when she's so inconvenient to play, when I can literally just bring Piper in with no requirements and just spin to win? Let's talk about this. My guy Visual could have brought Piper in instead of playing Jane. Absolutely correct on that. We're not even gonna play around with that statement. Absolutely correct. Let's go back and check the Carfax. Mind you, chat, keep in mind, all of these paragraphs are reasons as to why he did not build Yuzuha. why his Yuzu is still level 1. All of these reasons are still why his Yuzu is level 1. So if we relay back to this paragraph here, why would I play Jane when I could just bring Piper to spin to win, no requirements? Check the Carfax. What level is this Jane or this Piper, bro? Come on. So now we continue. This will sort of tie into the last paragraph, but there's a reason why I don't pull for who I like or hotness. For example, what's the #1 reason people pull for Jane? Based on what I see in the community, it's because she's hot, according to the community. And to me, that's not a reason to pull a character. And this is why I hear CCs talk about how a lot of people can't clear anything, not only because their characters are underbuilt, but the main thing they seem to leave out is the narrative that all people worry about in this game are just the sexual nature it provides, or is just the sexual nature it provides. I don't know a single CC that talks about a sexual nature and why you should pull characters. Have y'all seen Fantastic Four? You know how it says like they're living on Earth 872 or something like that? This guy is living, we're on Earth 16. We're probably not on Earth 16. We're probably in a whole different timeline. This guy is in Earth 872, the worst version possible of 872. He don't even have the Fantastic Four. Like, he's on the planet that Galactus is absolutely gonna eat. Has to be, because there's no way this type of information goes around and people think it's smart. People like, yo, you're cooking. Yo, what does Bieber say, bro? It's not clocking to you, is it? It's not clocking. It's not clocking to you that he's standing on business right now, right? Come on, man. Come on. We get to the final picture, the final one, right? Let's talk about hybrid characters. Let's talk about hybrids. Maybe we get a visual update to their UI traits. What do I mean? Let's look at Lighter. On paper, yes, he is a stunner, but my guy is literally out damaging most fire DPS in the game. So why would I ever get any other fire character except him? Yango, get off the burner. This is Yango. I'm calling it now. This is Yango. This gotta be Yango, bro. This is masterclass D1 rage bait, bro. This gotta be Yango, because nobody else would say some wild, slanderous, ridiculous shit like that. Lighter out damaging most fire DPS in the game. Mind you, we only got like 2 fire DPS, bro. Come on, guys, let's click fire. We got Soldier 11, and we got Evelyn, and we got Bernice. We got 3 fire DPS. One of them is a sub DPS. And you're telling me Lighter out DPS is the DPS? Okay. Part of the reason I'm thinking this way is because how the things people showcase on YouTube, like DPS Ben, DPS Caesar, DPS Lighter, which makes me not care about the other agents in that category. I know it sounds like I'm easily influenced by what people are showing on YouTube or saying on here, but I don't know how the game works, and damn sure don't want to learn it on my own. So these are things that I come across. Anyway, I could go on and on and on for hours and hours in this post, but I just want to enjoy the game. But I realize I really can't do that. Chat, this is the best review that I've read. I'm not even gonna hold you. This is easily the best review that I've read ever for Zenless Zone Zero. You know what I'm saying? we gotta go with World's Tiniest Violin, because I feel bad for him a little bit. I do. Let me explain. I feel a little bad for a player like this, right? Visual 06, right? 06. I feel a little bad for Visual 6 because my guy said he goes on YouTube. He looks for the content creators. He looks for the content. He's looking for help. He wants to learn how to play the game. He wants to enjoy the game. But for some reason, EO's channel never comes across as recommended. Kettei's channel never comes across as recommended. Soul's channel never comes across as recommended. Flossin, Jay Stern, Average Luck Gamer. Who else am I missing? I'm missing a couple different guys, bro. Zeals just came back to making gacha content. Zeals channel, Muzzy's channel, Leno, Rivenous, Josh, I Win to Lose. At least 20 Zenless creators now. Before, just 4 months ago, we had less than 10. Now we got at least 20. We on the up right now. Paco, we on the up right now. Okay? I'm a Zenless creator. We're on the up right now. You're telling me this guy got on YouTube, looked for some information on how to learn the game, and he just, only thing he saw was DPS Ben, DPS Caesar, DPS Lighter. He ignored any relevance to the fact that using DPS Caesar or Lighter requires mindscapes. Completely ignored that fact. DPS bin requires super support, double support, if you will, right? You need some Astra level shit. Completely ignored that. I'm more surprised that my guy didn't even mention Astra at all in this entire review of his. No Astra mention whatsoever. This is how I know this guy's living on Earth 872. Gotta be, because Astra over there, they don't have the Astra patch. It never came through. So maybe in their realm, in their world, Lighter is the most damaging fire character in the game. Who are we living over here in Earth, whatever the number we have? Somebody make up a number, it doesn't matter. Who are we on the main timeline of our own world? Tell him what really exists in his main timeline over there on Earth 872, because he might actually be a new Eridu. He might actually be living in the canonical Zenless Zone 0. I'm done. That was a great. We've been live for an hour. That was an amazing first hour. I didn't expect that to be what it was, but it is what it is. I'm absolutely uploading that. That was hilarious. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this too. Visual, if you ever come across this video and you happen to make it to the end of this video, no hard feelings, bro. This shit is funny. This is masterclass rage baiting at its finest. I'm not even mad at it. I'm not even mad at it. This is funny. We need more of this. Make more of these. The next review I want from you, Visual, hear me out. Hear me out. The next review I want from you, I need you to go experience Hollow Zero. I need you to talk about Hollow Zero. I need you to crank out the intensity, max it out, 15 out of 15. And I want your review on that, because me personally, I think Hollow Zero, 15 out of 15, too hard. In fact, actually, I take that back, not hard enough. The actual changes and buffs and debuffs that we get inside of the high intensity, they could be harder. They could be more difficult. And I feel like you, a masterclass player like you, Visual, I really do feel like you would be able to stomp and smoke out all of high intensity Hollow Zero. So I think if we got a review from you on that, peak, chef's kiss, okay? Guys, I can't say my user outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later.